Hi, I'm Lisa Bardot, and welcome to another Character Camp tutorial. In today's video, I'm going to be teaching you how to draw a character at different ages, from infant to elderly. Character Camp is a free series of prompts, guides, and tutorials to help you design and draw your own original characters. Over the past few weeks, we've been exploring how to draw human characters, animals and creatures, even creating characters from inanimate objects. To learn more about Character Camp and watch the previous tutorials, head over to the Character Camp homepage at bardotbrush.com/charactercamp. I've put a link in the description. And be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you're sure not to miss any future tutorials. Today I will be teaching you how to draw characters at different ages. The first step to any character development is to create a character profile. On my website, I've got a free character profile template you can use to get you thinking about who your character is, their appearance, background, personality, and of course, age. Once you've figured out how old your character is, you need to know how to draw them so that they'll actually appear to be that age. I'm going to walk you through drawing a character at several different stages of life. You'll learn what facial proportions, body proportions, and extra little details you can manipulate to make a baby look like a baby and an old lady look like an old lady. Let's draw. To get started, we're going to open up a new canvas in Procreate. Today I'm using a 2800 by 3500 pixel canvas. To begin, we'll want to define what our character looks like. I'm going to draw something very simple. I'll start by showing you the proportions of this character as an adult. First, I'll do a light sketch to set up the structure and proportions. I'll draw a circle, and then a line going down the center extending to where the chin will be. Then some lines going back up the side to make a jaw shape. For an adult, the eyes are about at the halfway point on the face, so we'll draw a horizontal line to define the eye line. I'll draw some very simple eyes, a nose, and a mouth. Of course, you need some eyebrows too. And then I can go ahead and define the jawline. Now, this is a male character. He's going to have kind of a nice defined jaw. I'll add some ears. The ears kind of start around where the eyes are and go almost down to where the bottom of the nose is. And then we're going to go ahead and add his hair as well. I'm going to make sure that's nice and voluminous. He's like a fairly young adult, so he's got nice hair volume. So this is going to be what we are going to define as what the adult version of this character looks like. Now I'm going to go ahead and just resize that and move it off to the side. And next, we're going to go all the way back and we're going to draw this character as a baby. If you want to make a character look younger, make their facial features closer together, place them lower on the face, and also shorten the jaw. Let me show you. So to start out, we're going to draw the same circle, and then we're going to add a line down, except this time, the chin is not going to go nearly as far down. The chin is actually going to be super, super small on a baby, and we'll make it nice and round like that. So remember how I told you about how the placement of the facial features can make a character look older or younger? A baby's features are very compact and will be pretty low on their head. The eyes also are going to be nice and big. This might be a little more apparent if it had like eyes that weren't just dots, but work with me here. Babies' noses actually stick up so that they can breathe when they breastfeed, so they all kind of have that nose that sticks up. A little mouth and maybe kind of some oversized ears. Babies' ears tend to like stick out a little bit. And for the hair, well, babies have very little hair, if any, so we're going to just draw a little bit of hair on top of the head, leaving that nice big forehead that will make him look very young. All right, so now we've got the baby version and the adult, and we're going to draw a couple steps in between those ages. So let me make a little space here, and then next to the baby, I'm going to draw a kid, like a child. Now, there's a big range for children, of course, like from 1 year old till 12 years old when you're a teenager, but we'll just kind of generalize here. I'm going to draw that same circle and then a little bit more of a chin, not quite like the adult, of course. And our eye line for this age is going to be low. It's not going to be centered like the adult. We're going to make sure we lower that down. We'll go ahead and draw the eyes. The nose is kind of starting to take that shape as it grows into what it's going to be as an adult. Got a nice little smile there. Some ears, which are of course also low on the head. Still kind of a rounded out chin, as a child might still have some of that baby fat hanging on. It just kind of depends on the age of the child. But we do want to make sure their forehead looks nice and big. So we want the hair to be higher up on the head. Make sure there's plenty of room for that forehead. Maybe a few little stray hairs poking out too. Make sure that forehead is nice and big. Okay, so there's our kid. Now we're going to move on to drawing a teenager. So we'll start off with the same circle and the center line. Teenagers' features are starting to grow, and they're usually kind of out of proportion. So we'll give kind of like long, skinny look. The eye line's still a little bit below center, so don't quite get at center. We'll go ahead and draw the eyes and add the nose, which is starting to look a little bit more like it will when it's an adult. And maybe give this teenager some big ears. The features, like I said, tend to be kind of out of proportion, so their ears might look like awkwardly big, or maybe their nose. It just kind of depends on the teenager. And we can also have his hair come down a lot farther now. It's growing in, getting fuller. Maybe we can make it a little shaggy because, teenagers are a little unkempt sometimes. And, a couple more teenager-y features like maybe a few pimples on his cheeks. And there's our teenager. So now we have baby, kid, teenager, and an adult. So now we're going to go ahead and draw this character as they age on into like the senior citizen territory. I'm going to go ahead and make my canvas a little bit longer to give me some room to draw these characters. I'll just go up to the Actions menu, Canvas, Crop and Resize, and then I can just kind of drag the canvas over to give me a little bit more space. Let's go ahead and draw this character at like middle age. So now we're going to go ahead and draw a similar head shape. At this point, the skull of this person isn't really going to change. It's grown to pretty much its full size, but the skin's going to kind of do some different stuff. So we'll get into that. Go ahead and draw the eye line at the center point of the head. And we'll draw in the eyes. The nose is pretty much the same. We'll add the mouth, and the face might start to be getting a little rounder. Maybe this person has gained a little weight as they got a little bit older. They're starting to soften a little bit. And then also for men, the hair sometimes starts to recede as they start to go bald. Not all men, but it does happen to a lot of them. So we want the hairline to start going back. There's still a little bit of volume to the hair, but it's starting to thin out. And maybe the eyebrows are starting to get a little ragged. A few little wrinkles here and there around the forehead, eyes, and around the mouth. And maybe this guy's got kind of like a 5 o'clock shadow thing happening. So there's our middle-aged character. So now we're going to draw an elderly version of our character. So we'll start off by drawing the same head shape as we did for the adult. Eye line is going to be in the center just like before. We'll go ahead and draw in the eyes, and something that happens as you get older is your eyelids start to droop down. So that's kind of why some older people have kind of those sad looking eyes, is because those eyelids start to droop down over your eyes. So we'll kind of erase a little bit away to be indicative of that. The eyebrows are getting a little more shaggy. And something else that's interesting that happens when you're older is that your nose and your ears kind of still keep growing. So the nose might be a little bit bigger. You start to get kind of some jowls on the chin as the skin starts to sag down. We'll draw on those big ears. And this character's lost most of his hair at this point, so we'll draw him as a bald person. And then we want to add some wrinkles to show that the skin is really, really starting to sag and hang down. So we'll add some around the eyes, little crow's feet. We'll put some around the mouth and, of course, on the forehead as well. And we can even add other details like some age spots on the skin. So there we have our elderly character. And if we zoom back out, we have the same character from when they were a baby all the way until they're an old man. So we've got an infant, we've got a child, a teen, a full-grown adult, a middle-aged adult, and an elderly adult. So now, very quickly, I want to do an example of a female character. You can also use different hairstyles as a way of depicting the age of a character. So here is my adult female character. She's got some subtle bangs, medium length hair with some layers in it. Now let's go back and start at the beginning. You could even show that she has only a couple teeth so far. A baby, again, has very little hair, but you might see some kind of sticking out at the bottom. Maybe her parent put in a little hair accessory. For a young child, you might use a hairstyle normally worn by someone very young, like 2 ponytails. Then perhaps as a teen, she's kept her bangs, but kind of grown them out and styled them a little differently. She could be wearing her hair up in a top knot. And then as you grow older into middle age, the hair starts to thin out, so many women opt for shorter hairstyles. And I have to apologize here because my recording got cut off, but here's my elderly woman. When you're elderly, your hair gets really, really thin, which is why you see a lot of like older grandmas sporting that short permed hairstyle. It's to make the hair appear more full of volume. So I hope this gave you some insight about how to draw faces from infant to elderly. Next, I want to talk with you a bit about body proportions. Body proportions change drastically as you grow up, and they are a very important way to differentiate a child from an adult character. In general, the younger you are, the larger your head is in proportion to the rest of your body. The arms, legs, and neck are also proportionally shorter. I'll walk you through drawing bodies at the different ages. First, I'm going to turn off the layer I used to draw my faces and create a new layer. To help us illustrate these proportions, I'm going to use Procreate's Drawing Guide feature to make a grid. Go to the Actions menu, Canvas, and then find where it says Drawing Guide and toggle that on. Then tap Edit Drawing Guide. Go ahead and adjust the scale to make sure you have at least 7 or 8 full squares on your canvas. I'm going to start by drawing an adult. In human proportions, it's common to use the head as a unit of measurement. So I'm going to zoom on into one of these squares of the grid and draw my adult's head within that space. So now I've got 1 square of this grid equals 1 head. An adult is about 7 to 8 heads tall. I'll make my adult character 7 heads tall. So I'm just going to go ahead and count 7 squares. And down here's the bottom where the feet are going to be. And this is going to equal his total height. Now I'm going to mark where the halfway point is of the total height, and the halfway point is about crotch level for adults. So I'm going to have his torso start there and kind of come up towards his neck, and then legs extending all the way down to the bottom. And then the arms usually hit about kind of in the upper third of the thighs. And then I'll go ahead and just refine my sketch a little bit. And these are the proportions for the adult version of this man character. So now that I've defined what this character looks like as an adult, I'm going to go all the way back and draw him as a baby. So babies can be anywhere from about 3 to 4 heads tall. So again, I'm going to go into one of the squares and I'm going to draw the baby's head. And this baby, I'm going to make it 3 heads tall. So its head takes up an entire third of its body. I'm going to mark the midway point. And so for babies, the midway point of their body is at the belly button, not the crotch. So I'll mark the belly button there. The bottom of the torso, the crotch, is a little bit lower, probably at the lower third. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a torso. And it's important to note that you don't really see a baby's neck, especially when they're really, really young, like a little tiny newborn. So I'm going to go ahead and draw in his chubby little legs. And then the arms don't extend as far down as they would for an adult. They only go to about kind of where the hip joint is. And then I'll go ahead and darken some of these lines up, give them a little diaper, and I've got my little baby. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to drawing a child. Now again, depending on the age of the child, it's a pretty big range of how they could look. But for this child, I'm going to make it 4 heads tall. So I'm going to mark off 4 spots on my grid. I'm going to go ahead and draw the head within the first square. And then the neck, of course, is going to start to be showing now that the kid's a little bit older. So I'm going to find the halfway point again. And this time the belly button's going to actually be a little bit above that halfway point, and then the bottom of the torso is going to be right below it, just a little bit. We'll go ahead and draw in the torso and the legs as well, connecting all the way down to the bottom. And now the arms are starting to get a little bit longer too, not quite extending all the way into that upper third of the thigh like they would an adult, but they are starting to get longer. All right, so let's move on to drawing our teen character. I'm just going to kind of scoot over our little boy. And for the teen character, I'm going to make it 6 heads tall. So in that first square, I'm going to draw the teenager's head. And again, with teenagers, their proportions can get a little bit awkward. Their body parts don't all grow at the same rate. So we'll give them kind of like a long, skinny neck. And then I'll find that halfway point again. We're getting closer to where the halfway point is on the adult, which is at the bottom of the torso, but it's not quite there yet. So we're going to put that mark just a little bit below center. Add in his skinny little legs. This is just like kind of a skinny teenager. He's got big feet, that big nose, big ears, just kind of a little awkward. And we'll go ahead and just darken all these lines. And we've got our little teenage boy. Okay, so now we've drawn this guy from little baby all the way up to a full-grown adult. But you might have noticed that that baby looks pretty massive. Drawing your characters using a grid like this means that they'll be in proportion, like each person will be in proportion to itself. But this baby in reality would actually be a bit smaller. They're not to scale for each other. Okay, so over on the other side of our adult, we're going to go ahead and draw a middle-aged adult. So the proportions at middle age are pretty much the same as they are at adult, but there are a few differences. So the torso starts at that same halfway point, but you know what? He might be gaining a little bit of weight, and for males, they tend to gain that weight in their stomachs. For females, they tend to gain weight like in their arms and around their hips. So it would be different for a woman. But we'll kind of thicken him up a little bit. Maybe he's getting a little soft and round in his older age. And finally, we're going to draw our elderly man. So let's go ahead and adjust the crop of our canvas, make it a little bit longer. And one thing you should know is that people actually do shrink a little bit as they grow older. So we're going to make our old man version just a little bit shorter. We'll make him 6 heads tall. But all the proportions are the same. So we're going to find the halfway point and make that the bottom of our torso shape. But you'll notice that I put the shoulders a lot closer to the head. As you get older, your body tends to kind of hunch over, so that might make your shoulders look like they're higher up. And the posture's not as great either. So we'll kind of draw some slumping shoulders to show that. Overall, the body is going to be, wrinkly, droopy. That's just kind of how it looks when you get up there in your years. So there is our old man. Now you can see these 5 different ages from baby all the way up to senior. So now that you've learned how to manipulate facial and body proportions to make someone look older and younger, you can employ those methods to draw other types of characters at different ages. Animals, imaginary creatures, even inanimate object characters. If you want to learn more about drawing characters, check out the other tutorials and resources in my Character Camp series. I'll teach you how to develop a human character, building it one piece at a time, as well as how to draw animal characters and even characters from inanimate objects. Learn more at bardotbrush.com/charactercamp. I've put a link in the description. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I cannot wait to see what amazing characters you create. Please be sure to subscribe to learn more about drawing, illustration, and of course, working in Procreate. Again, I'm Lisa Bardot, the owner of Bardot Brush, one of the leading brush creators for Procreate. If you'd like to support me, I hope you'll take a look at my premium brush sets that inspire creativity at bardotbrush.com. If you're looking to connect with other Procreate artists, ask questions, and share your Procreate work, I would join my Facebook group, Procreate Community. Learn, draw, share. It's got over 45,000 members who remark on what a supportive space it is for artists. I also run a group called Making Art Every Day /Bardot Brush, which is for all things Bardot brush and participants in the Making Art Every Day project, an ongoing series of daily drawing prompts, motivation, and tutorials to help you overcome creative fears and establish a daily art making practice. Learn more about it at bardotbrush.com/joinMAE. If you're posting artwork to Instagram made with my brushes or tutorials, I would love to see it. Use the hashtag BardotBrush. Thanks and happy art making! If you like this video, please subscribe for more awesome tutorials and check out one of my other videos. Have a great day!